It is Thursday. United States Treasury presents us with the facts on the economy as presented by Geithner to Congress or somebody or other. Private sector employment has grown for 23 straight months. And that's not bad. Those blue sticky up ones still don't account for all the old blue sticky down ones and the red sticky down ones. The economy has grown 10 straight quarters, blue sticky up ones for GDP with the big 3%. Very excited, everyone got excited yesterday about 3% GDP growth, which is, mystically speaking, blah plus. 2.4% average growth over the last 10 quarters. Blah plus. Second little chart from the Treasury, we get the private sector is leading growth with a non-farm business annualized average growth since 2009 at 3.3. Not bad. Could be a lot worse. Blah plus. And government employment is shrinking. It's down 600,000 employees, and things are still holding together. Everybody's happy. Well, if you've still got a job. 2. In the background we have household deleveraging. The blue line is following the household debt percentage of personal income. And it's come from over 115 down to 100%. Debt as a percentage of personal income, 100%. And the aspects of this that have come down have been mortgages in red that have really come down, home equity revolving, which has gone up slightly if I read that correctly, but about the same for auto loans, credit cards and other. It's really the mortgages that have gone down, making household debt as a percentage of personal income going down. Now this is the deleveraging, and this is the mystic scratches his head and thinks, okay, people are saying this deleveraging is going on and it's all very good, and there will soon be a level where they can level out and not be deleveraging anymore and then take on more debt, presumably. And Mystic goes, really? That just doesn't seem to compute here. That doesn't make sense. I'm not saying it's right or wrong in a household economic way. I'm saying, why should that chart start going up again? Why would households start madly leveraging up again? I don't think they will. I think that will continue to go down and down and down and down. One day it'll go up, but I think that one day is an awful long way away. Do you not think? Why should it level out and go up again? At levels up by like 100% disposable, what is it? Debt to personal income. I can't see any reason why it should. This is a great meme that gets into the mentality of people. And the meme is deleveraging. So the meme will continue until something else monstrously big stops it and then starts pushing it up again for a great new mad round of leveraging up. And that is a long way away. Do you not think? Number 3, FDIC bank profits at 5-year high, and we'll read about that, but revenue falls. Washington Market Watch, bank profits rose in 2011 to a 5-year high, which is all very nice, but we read, while operating revenue declined for only the second time since 1938. That's the second time, and I think the other time was 2008 or 2009, one of those two. And that operating revenue, which I think is basically for us the difference between income and outgoings, the basic sort of stuff. according to the FDIC. Now, at the bottom that I've highlighted, FDIC acting chief Martin Grunberg told reporters that most of the improvements in earnings over the past 2 years have been the result of lower provisions for loan losses, and that cannot go on indefinitely. What we have is the real profit and loss, which is operating revenue, and you can make profits though by accounting shenanigans. But the important one is operating revenue is down for the only second time since 1938. Banks are not really profitable anymore, and something will have to be done about that, and I'm sure the central banks will do that something necessary for them, which will be putting up interest rates. Let's move on to something a bit more energetic. Number 4. The blue line is the GDP of the United States, divided by, I think, the amount of barrels of oil used in the economy in that year. You got it? So it's the GDP bang for the barrel buck you get. Yeah, something like that. The GDP per barrel of oil. Yeah. The red line, just in case we get the idea that what we're going to look at, the efficiencies made, are because GDP is being cranked up by financialization and all these banking, these fire economy things. That red line is to show, no, that hasn't been going up as much or much compared to the efficiencies made to get more GDP out of a barrel of oil in the US economy. Starting at 1965 and going along the era of cast iron V8 blocks, inefficient, almost going downwards there, until the oil shocks, and they stopped pouring oil into power stations, and that was a great big difference. Used coal, gas and other things, but they didn't just pour oil in there. Sharp improvements following the 70s oil shocks. That was that. Slower improvement in the late 80s and 90s because there was no need, oil was cheap. Very rapid improvement following the 2005-2008 oil shock, setback in the Great Recession. That will be GDP coming down, making the denominator or the numerator change. And now, rapid improvement again in 2010 and 11. The US is getting more efficient at getting more GDP out of a barrel of oil, and will have to continue that line for a long, long time, and maybe make it mystically exponential, kind of almost going vertical for a long time. Right. In the background, the US government has the ability to use the Strategic Petroleum Reserve when panic sets in. This is the Strategic Petroleum Reserve inventory since 1982, where it looked like it had 250 million barrels in then, and now it's up to 700 million barrels. They've used it for Desert Storm, 22 million. Clinton used it for 28 million there. Heating oil inventories were low in about 2001, so Clinton used it then. Katrina, 14 million were sold out. Arab Spring, we remember that one where they sold 30 million out of the SPR, and there was another 30 million released around the world. And they've dropped that down to 700 million, and they haven't really topped that back up again yet. But there's a lot of oil in there. If I remember, I did a mystic back of an envelope calculation, and I think there's about a month's worth of US oil consumption in the SPR. Interesting in the note at the bottom here, in addition to the 4 outright sales above, the SPR has granted 12 loans or exchanges since 1996. These are made on a case-by-case basis to alleviate supply disruptions, e.g. a broken pipeline. Once conditions return to normal, the loan of the oil is returned to the SPR with an additional oil paid in as interest, which is quite fun. And the last loan was in 2008 for Hurricane Gustav. Vaguely interesting. Moving on to the world, and how's the world pumping oil? And this is real oil, not those extra fancy liquid things. At the bottom we've got Russia, the USSR. No, it's not that. It's the Russian Federation now. And you can see that they have increased since 2000. That has kept things afloat. Saudi Arabia has been about flat, and the US is the light green one, and then everybody else becomes also rands in particular countries: Iran, China, Canada, Mexico, and the United Arab Emirates, Kuwait and Venezuela, and the rest of the world is the pretty powder blue. Plenty of people in the rest of the world, but we can see basically on the top line of this, which is 80 million barrels per day, that it has not gone up since 2003, 2004, and that's your real oil. That's not your fancy made out of corn ethanol sort of stuff that they add on to make the 85, 87, 89 and all that sort of stuff. So that's 80 of real oil that has been effectively flat from the world since 2000, and it's almost 2003. And all those countries mentioned on the right there since 2003 have been using lots and lots and lots more of their own oil, and less of that production has been available to the market. That is why the United States and other countries need to do this efficiency gig. Finish in the United Kingdom. North Sea oil production collapsed by a record 18% last year, the biggest fall since black gold started flowing 4 decades ago. And the article goes on to say there's lots and lots of oil there if we could only get the money together to get the projects together to go and get it. As if the people haven't worked this out on backs of envelopes to see if it's really viable or not. I mean, I think they might have just made that calculation. And there are plenty of reasons why that just happens to be an exceptional collapse of 18%. But so many of these exceptional reasons for collapses seem to follow each other at quite regular intervals, and that's similar for other fields around the world. Have a good Thursday. Bye.